What? Who would do that? Natalie, you're acting crazy.
Oh, sweet Benson. Why don't you let him tell you himself? Nikolai!
Thomas, why'd you step out when she called for Nikolai?
Because my name is not Thomas. It is Nikolai. And I am Russian spy.
When I first watched this scene, I feel like they were expecting me to be like, but in reality I was like, this makes no sense. I don't like this. Why is this happening? It feels like they just wanted to do absolutely nothing with this character and then just randomly thought of this idea to write him off forever. Because really, it's just so crazy that they had one of the main characters actually be a Russian spy. How did we even get here? Thomas had one of the craziest introductions in a pivotal episode where he showed so much potential, and then proceeded to do pretty much absolutely nothing, sometimes being in an episode and adding nothing, sometimes adding a little bit, but overall wasn't doing anything before getting one of the biggest plot twists in the show's history. It was always so weird to me. But upon rewatch, I actually enjoy it a lot more than I thought I would. I think it's a great part of regular show and a great way to fix something that was kind of broken in a way, because a lot of people, and I know for a fact there's at least one person out there whose favorite character was Thomas, and you were sitting there watching every single episode just hoping and praying that he would do something. And then when this happened, maybe it was the best day of your life, or maybe it ruined everything for you, but either way, Thomas was a very interesting character and added something very unique to the show, which is why today I'm going to be taking you through the underdeveloped tale of Thomas. Thomas entered the show at a very interesting time. Season 4, Episode 1, Exit 9B, which is one of the most iconic episodes ever in regular show's history, which is a great time to introduce a brand new character, a episode that is just solely to pay off all those people who have watched the past 3 seasons of the show in just one epic half-hour special. Yeah, that's a great time to introduce a brand new character. But did we really need a new character? I mean, you already had some underdeveloped side characters like Eileen, and especially High Five Ghost at this point in the series that you could have chose to focus on a little bit more. But instead they were like, Goat Man, he's the goat, let's add the goat. And they added Thomas to the series. I especially thought it was weird because I didn't even hear anybody say they wanted a new member to the park. Anytime I would talk with my friends about it, they never wanted a new member. So seeing Thomas knock on that door at the beginning of Exit 9B was a little bit of a shocker. Yes, I had seen it in commercials, but it was still always weird.
Hello? Benson, hello? Is anybody here? Hey, Mom. Yeah, it's my first day at my new internship.
And then that beautiful intro sequence where he's just, checking out the house, and then Garrett Bobby Ferguson Jr. shows up, erasing everybody's minds, and Thomas is just there in shock.
No, I'm looking for them right now. Yeah, I met everybody yesterday. They all seem really cool. Yeah, it's gonna be a really easy way to get 3 credits. Mom, hold on! Run!
And is now forced to be the intern for Garrett Bobby Ferguson Jr., who is just treating him horribly throughout the entire episode.
Think I could have some pizza?
What? Pizza's for winners. You're not a winner, Benson. You're a slacker. Now get back to work!
Yes, sir.
Intern, pizza!
And Thomas doesn't really do a whole lot for the majority of Exit 9B before the end. He's basically just there to feed him pizza and just be on his side the majority of the time.
What are you guys doing here?
Thomas, what's your problem? You trying to give us a heart attack?
I have to be here. I need the credits for school. You guys gotta go. The new manager's crazy.
We're not leaving. You gotta tell us where Benson is so we can get his signature. Thomas?
Thomas, where's Benson?
Right behind you.
Get all of them.
Benson, no! You can't do this!
Until that big final battle happens, and they manage to get Thomas on their side at the end when he's making coffee for Garrett Bobby Ferguson Jr., and he has one ultimate final moment where he splashes coffee on his face and he gets knocked off the building.
Thinking about things and bring us the coffee already! Kid's worthless, am I right?
Thomas!
but it turns out it was all part of one big plan, and they get Thomas to sign the National Landmark document. Whoa!
Losers!
Should've checked the fine print when we switched the contract in front of your face. Know what I'm saying?
And then boom, the park is saved right there, and Thomas's introduction was great. He decides he's going to stay at the park at the end of the episode. He gets his glorious little head pats.
Yeah, Thomas, that was awesome.
Yeah, you're gonna make a great addition to the team.
Sweet.
Thanks, guys. Does stuff like this happen all the time?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, seems like we got a brand new character.
Hey, Mom. No, I'm not gonna quit anymore. Yeah, I think this internship's gonna be really cool.
And then that just keeps on going in the episode Starter Pack, an episode where it's all about his introduction to the park and how he's dealing with everybody pranking them because, you know, introductions, you gotta just get pranked over and over and over again.
Your eyes staring into my eyes. Who am I but a guy with 2 eyes on the prize? And the prize in my eyes is 10 times.
All right, Thomas, you've made it through initiation week. Welcome to the park.
And Muscle Man is just taking it way too far, and Mordecai and Rigby feel really bad for this poor little goat man.
Drive by Atomic Wedgie!
Wow, it was funny.
And so they decide to help him out by pranking Muscle Man to get Muscle Man to get off of Thomas's back by saying that Thomas was the one who pranked them.
What the?
Thomas pranked you good, man.
Thomas did this?
Muscle Man?
He thinks he can prank his superior and get away with it? Huh?
Muscle Man loses his mind, starts trying to murder everybody, murder Thomas, throwing trees, trying to kill him.
Thomas!
And it's just revealed to be all one big prank at the end when Muscle Man throws a giant building at Thomas's car.
It was us!
And it looks like Thomas is dead, but it was actually all a part of the prank.
What?
Did it work? Did I do it right?
Yeah, you did! Those losers totally bought it.
Wait, you're alive?
Yeah, it was very interesting, but I enjoyed it because Thomas was just kind of this down-to-earth reactionary character who was still adding to the plot. I honestly thought he was just going to play like a straight man, like a guy that you could like have react to the things that are going on at the park, and he just is like straightforward, like, oh shucks, that was really weird, I didn't expect that to happen. Interdimensional monster, whoa, that's crazy, you don't see that every day. I thought that's what his personality was going to be, and I was perfectly fine with that, because I mean, that's kind of what High Five Ghost was in a way, but he wasn't really doing that. So I thought, okay, they're adding a character into the park who hasn't usually experienced really weird things going on, so we could add a little bit of comedy to situations that he's not seen before. The really weird situations where you have just this normal guy come over and be like, whoa, that's weird. I honestly thought that's what his character was going to be, and I was perfectly fine with it. I mean, he had Exit 9B and then Starter Pack, so I really thought we were going to get a lot of Thomas from here. I genuinely did, and I was excited for it because I was like, okay, if they're gonna add a new character, at least they're using him so far. I was wrong. I was brutally wrong. There's just nothing. He does absolutely nothing for the longest amount of time. I thought he was going to be this cool reactionary character, maybe a little bit of a slice of life. He's a college kid. Maybe he could party it up. No, nobody even wants to spend any time with this guy. I guess just being a goat man and being a college student and an intern just immediately means everybody hates you. Yeah, because Thomas just felt like he was outed from everything, and it all starts in episodes like Guys Night, where instead of, letting this college little goat guy do something interesting, maybe add to the plot. I mean, he's a college kid, he probably knows how to party a little bit. I mean, I know he's not actually a college kid, I understand that, but as at this point in the series, there were no plans to make Thomas a Russian spy. So in Guys Night, for Muscle Man to just be like, go get us some chips, and then throws the keys at him, and then we just don't see Thomas for the rest of the episode.
Guys, Nate. Hey, Thomas, go get us more chips at the store.
Fine.
Yeah, that was okay. I guess it was kind of funny. It was one of the first times that they did that, so I could excuse it. And then you have the Christmas special, an episode where maybe he could do something. Maybe you could have him do one of the trials to get to the lava pit at the end. Maybe he has to use his goat horns to, like, ram into this door because nobody else could do it because nobody has a hard head like Thomas. But no.
Thomas!
Huh?
That was awesome!
He gets stuck in the stairs and doesn't do anything for the entire episode. And that was an okay cop-out, I guess. And he finally gets an episode, Cool Cubed, and the thing that I didn't like about this episode was the fact that it was basically all about Thomas, but it felt like he was a side character in a episode where his brain literally gets frozen and he is the main force driving the plot. Because at the beginning of this episode, they're trying to, get cool brain freeze pics, like the face you make when you're getting a brain freeze, and Thomas just can't get one, so he has to drink the cool cube invasion ice whatever, and he drinks it and he makes the best face ever.
Lame. Oh, dude!
Take the picture! Take the picture! Dude, this is gold!
Thomas, check it out!
But his head literally gets frozen and he's just stuck in place, so Mordecai and Rigby have to get shrunk into his head to go and fight the freeze, which is just like the coffee guy, except it says freeze.
Freeze!
Which was okay villain, I guess. I don't really like reruns on villains unless it's like to progress their story, so for it to just basically be the exact same thing as the coffee bean didn't really do a whole lot for me. But then I thought Thomas was actually going to be in this episode other than them just being in his head, because we get to meet the subconscious Thomas, which just starts off as a little goat going, Mordecai, Rigby, and then it morphs into his head.
Dude, what's that? Mordecai! Rigby!
Whoa, guys, it's me, Thomas.
So he was there, and then he's all like, yo, I'm Thomas's subconscious. Hello? And then he says nothing for like 4 straight minutes, and then he takes a dive for Mordecai when he's about to get frozen by the freeze, and he's like, stop the cool cubed!
Now you die!
Freeze!
No!
And then Mordecai and Rigby go do it, and Thomas, in an episode where it was supposed to feature him a little bit more heavily, he still basically does absolutely nothing. I understand his subconscious sacrificing himself is a big moment, but it still kind of just felt like nothing to me. I was still clamoring and hoping for more from Thomas at this point in the series, but I slowly felt my desire to see Thomas do anything just slowly fading, especially when there's still other cool side characters that I could focus on instead of Thomas. There's nothing really here that makes me want to focus on Thomas even remotely. You have episodes like Journey to the Bottom of the Crash Pit, where again Thomas could be included in the main part of the episode. He could have totally been in that car for the crash pit, but they don't decide to focus on him at all, and he gets one small scene where he actually gets a couple of words here where all he does is rent them climbing equipment, and that's pretty much it. They just get some climbing equipment and go down into the crash pit, and then Thomas makes a joke at the end about where the climbing equipment is.
That did the trick. Totally worth it.
Good thing we never have to go down there again.
Hey, where's the climbing gear you guys checked out?
And yippee! Go Thomas! In World's Best Boss, he is there for the entire episode. He's included in the process of doing things, but the only line that he really has in the episode is when they're trying to decide what gifts to get Benson, and he just keeps getting, talked over, and he's just like, a box of pens!
A box of
A gold-plated clipboard.
A snow globe.
a box of
A monogram business shirt.
A box of chocolates.
a box
A
of
pair of socks.
a box
A
of
glow-in-the-dark business tie.
a box of pens.
And that's it. I thought he was going to get a joke or something cool to say. I mean, he still kind of is playing that, like, straightforward guy who is just kind of there to just be there and say normal things, but it's still not adding a whole lot to the plot. You have him appearing in Terror Tales, where instead of Thomas getting to tell an actual story, the episode begins with Thomas's story just being so completely and utterly horrible that he has to wear his costume for forever because he told the worst story.
But the maniac was calling from outside the house. Wait, is that right? I mean, inside the house.
Bad, Thomas.
And yeah, he has to wear it until Thanksgiving, actually. But either way, I would have loved to hear a really funny, like, joke, corny story that is Thomas's story, maybe all about him, focusing on him, and it's just a horrible told story. It could have been funny, but they still chose to do nothing, and then he's just wearing a pizza costume for a while. He appears in episodes like Survival Skills, where, again, he does pretty much nothing except go to look for Mordecai and Rigby, and he's portrayed as, like, a goat bear, and they have to fight him. And just the imagery of trying to imagine Thomas, like, walking up to them normally and then Mordecai and Rigby just in a, like, psychosis state attacking him is a funny image, but still not adding anything to his character. And then you go to episodes like Sleep Fighter, which Thomas, again, doesn't really do a whole lot, but I think he has one funny joke that is only really funny in hindsight, especially when you consider that he becomes a Russian spy because he's all like, I don't even know how you found out where I lived.
How did you even find out where I live?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Yeah, it is. Thomas lost a tooth last night.
I still don't know how he knows where I live.
And he probably lives somewhere like, you know, Russian spy to, like, spy on people or something, and Muscle Man still found a way to beat him up. So that's kind of funny, but only in hindsight. He's still not doing anything. In the Thanksgiving special, he also just doesn't have a role. He's only there to just be all like, guys, your parents didn't make it for Thanksgiving.
It's Thomas.
Thomas?
I'm at the airport. There's been a delay. Your family's flights won't be getting in till tomorrow. I'm so sorry. You're not gonna make it for Thanksgiving. Not gonna make it for Thanksgiving. Not gonna make it for Thanksgiving. I'm sorry.
So that Mordecai and Rigby can be all like, what are you thankful for? And sing a beautiful song about Thanksgiving. That's all Thomas really does in that episode. Return of the Mordecai and Rigbys. I guess he has a role here. He plays the British band manager of the Mordecai and the Rigbys.
I know. I can be your British manager.
What?
Dude, every band has a mean British manager.
Oh, you lot! Where is Bates paying Manchester half an hour ago?
Sure, man.
Which he's just like, hey, you lot. Hey, I don't like you lot. Oh, yeah, you listen to Mordo, you lot. Oh, yeah. That's pretty much all he does. Again, yeah, it's okay, I guess. I guess it's a little funny how weird he is being, but again, pretty much it. And then you go to episodes like Expert or Liar, where he does nothing except be all like, I know a guy who knows video game producers. Yeah, and then he tells him, and then Rigby goes and does his thing. Thomas is basically just there to add a small role to the plot, or basically do nothing, but I will say in the episode Wall Buddy, I don't know if this was a tease. I'm pretty sure they had already thought of the concept because this was in the same season that Thomas Fights Back occurs, and in this episode, we just get a small clip where Thomas is watching the TV, and it says, like, Carter and Briggs bust Russia, which I'm assuming is foreshadowing.
Stop subdividing, Wall Buddy!
And now, back to Carter and Briggs bust Russia.
All right. Oh.
I'm pretty sure it is. But again, Thomas was doing nothing at this point in the series. Genuinely nothing. If you go to Reddit and like look at episode reviews or people discussing episodes, I guarantee you for like season 4 and season 5, you will find comments, just so many of them, that are just like, oh, Thomas was here again. Still nothing from Thomas. Thomas not doing anything. Not a surprise. Thomas doing nothing. Why was he added to the show? It makes you genuinely wonder, what was their initial reasons for adding him? Was it just to make Exit 9B a little bit better? Did they actually want to add this character and want to expand upon him and give him episodes? Was there a plan with him initially? Or was it just, let's add this silly little goat guy to have a little bit of fun? Because any situation that Thomas is in, I immediately think that either Eileen could be thrown into an episode or High Five Ghost could play that same exact role. And I get it that Roger Craig Smith is always there, he's always readily available to be in any episode, but still, what was the point? Why not just have High Five Ghost do this, or why not have Eileen do it, or make a character that is already introduced on the show and has more personality do the same exact things that this guy was doing? It genuinely felt like they just added a character to be a little bit of a punching bag. Oh, he's an intern, let's leave him out of every single episode, which ends up working. Don't get me wrong, I think what they do after all these episodes of just pursuing the nothing is better policy, I think they redeem it. I think it actually fits really well into regular show what they do with the plot twist, but everything before it was just really pointless to watch and genuinely made me question what was the point of Thomas. It's late season 5, not a whole lot has happened for Thomas, but then he just randomly gets one of my favorite episodes in the entire series, Thomas Fights Back. Just out of nowhere, this guy went from getting barely any screen time to having a phenomenal, what I consider 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 episode. It's honestly just so good. And it always leaves me wondering, they could have done this the entire time. They could have built up to it so much. I wish they had the idea of him becoming a Russian spy right away, because they could have done so much hinting, so much foreshadowing, and made genuinely good episodes that would have made his ultimate turn even better. But I digress. Thomas Fights Back is still really good. The episode focuses on how Thomas is about to be fired from the park because Benson is just done with him.
Well, I better go find Thomas to give him the bad news.
Mom, Benson says he's gonna fire me if I can't make myself useful. What should I... Okay, I'll try. Hey, Benson! How's it going?
Not great, actually.
I'm glad to hear it. As for me, I was just going over all the duties I fulfilled at the park today.
Which duties, exactly?
Well, for instance... I put sawdust on the barf around the perimeter of the merry-go-round, and, stuff like that. You know, duties. You agree that stuff's important, right? You don't want barf in your park, do you?
He doesn't really need an intern anymore, and at the same time, Gene ends up stealing the park statue of the park founder.
I can't believe Gene did it again!
Wait, who's Gene?
Gene's the prank-obsessed manager from our rival park.
And so this entire episode is about getting that statue back. We get a really funny scene with everybody dressing as aliens that fails miserably.
Help! Help! I'm stuck! What's going on here?
We are aliens. Surrender to us now.
Wait, aliens? You blockheads! It's just Benson and his men in cheap costumes. They're trespassing. Fire at will.
And then Thomas has an idea to go as an undercover operative and sneak into Gene's park and learn everything about them in order to sabotage them and get the statue back. I love this scene so much because Benson is about to fire him, and then Thomas stands up for himself and says that he could do it, he just needs a chance, and then Muscle Man's all like, you could never pull this off, and then Thomas just pulls out some like jujitsu moves on him hard, puts him in an arm bar. Beautiful scene.
Mom works for an in-flight magazine. She gets stuff like this for free.
You see, that's just it, Thomas. You're too much of a mama's boy to pull this off.
Still think I'm a mama's boy?
Loved it. Just triangle choking him. It was so great. I love the potential that Thomas had here to be an actual genuine character, and I genuinely wish that they were just showing this side of him a little bit more. I understand that they didn't have this side of him figured out, but God, I wish they did, because he could have been so much cooler, man. And so Thomas ends up going undercover under the alias Nicholas, which is another little bit of foreshadowing to who he actually is.
Once everyone's comfortable with me, I'll be free to wander the park and get a lay of the land to figure out where they hid the statue.
How you liking field work?
It's just fine, sir.
Wanna know a secret?
Good one, sir.
But either way, he's just learning everything, becoming friends with Gene, becoming friends with the members of the East Pines Park. Yep, that's what it's called. And he just becomes a loyal member there until eventually one night he sneaks everybody in to steal the statue, brings a truck in, is able to slowly steal it. The entire plan is working. We get this flashback of everything that Nicholas was sabotaging.
Hello! Wait a minute.
And he eventually gets the statue back, helping out the park and proving his loyalty and proving that he belongs to the park.
All right, guys, I gotta get this. See you later. Hey, Mom, good news. They want me to stay at the park. Yep, mission accomplished.
It is a phenomenal episode that focuses pretty much only on Thomas, and they did it so right. And this episode will just always be the biggest what if to me. What if they made Thomas this cool from the start? He could have gone down as one of regular show's best, which is why, you know, after having an episode like this, it truly was a little bit of a shocker when we get to the episode The Real Thomas, where this episode opens with Rigby having a so-called dream where he sees Thomas fighting CIA agents.
That guy's dressed up like a garbage can and totally still alive. I think you're in a dream, dude.
Wait.
And Rigby walks outside and he's like, "What's up, Thomas? What you doing?" While holding a Hot Pocket. And then Thomas knocks him out and just says it was a dream. And then Rigby spends the entire first half of the episode trying to figure out Thomas, trying to understand Thomas. He hears Thomas talking about Russia, and Benson is going on a date with a girl named Natalie, who is revealed to be Natalia, and puts everybody in one room together. And that's when the big reveal happens. It turns out that Thomas is a Russian spy. He steps out of the shadows, and his name is Nikolai.
Nikolai!
Thomas, why'd you step out when she called for Nikolai?
Because my name is not Thomas. It is Nikolai, and I am Russian spy.
And honestly, I said it at the beginning of this video, but when I first watched this, I found it really underwhelming because I wasn't a Thomas supporter at this point. I was like, wow, how convenient that you found a way to make a useless character semi-useful and just do a random plot twist that you definitely had no idea you were going to do. But, you know, as I've grown, as I've matured, that is the most regular show thing you could possibly do. That is anything but regular. And I love the interviews with J.G. Quintel where he says that, oh yeah, we had no plans for Thomas, but then we kind of realized that all the pieces just kind of fit together and we could tell this very unique story. And I think it works so well because Thomas explaining all of the situations where he was able to hide in the shadows, always watching, never acting, and showing all the episodes where he had an opportunity to contribute to the plot, but he is just willingly doing absolutely nothing.
At the first chance possible, I would risk my life for the park. I would gain my co-workers' trust. I would fade into the background. I would say and do almost nothing. Phase 2. Make preparations for Phase 3. Execute Phase 4 orders.
It genuinely works. It works perfectly and adds a lot to those episodes. And even though Thomas is a very underdeveloped character, I think this plot twist works because of how underdeveloped he is. It makes sense that a Russian spy wouldn't get too close to the park members or go on too many of the adventures because he was busy doing all of this. It makes Thomas's, you know, many flaws semi-more acceptable because it makes sense to the plot now, and doing this big turn, unless they decided to make Thomas an actual character after Thomas fights back, I think this was the only way to at least redeem him a little bit. But either way, going back to a real Thomas, Thomas is now trying to help Natalia and the Russian government steal the park by lifting it up into the air and flying it towards Russia. And he just betrays all his friends. His friends are just shocked. They're scared. They don't understand how Thomas could do this. But Thomas just says that it's his job.
How could you do this to us?
Yeah, man.
It's my job, guys.
He was raised by the KGB. He was abandoned as a baby. This is all he knows.
But I was abandoned as a baby and declared property of the state. The KGB raised me to be the perfect weapon.
And the park guys think that it's just going to be over, that there's no way to solve this. And that's until Thomas realizes that they're trying to destroy the park, trying to blow it up, blowing up America piece by piece. What a weird plan. But that's when everybody convinces Thomas to turn on Natalia.
Why do you think I never said more than 4 or 5 words at a time?
We thought you were just boring. Try and remember, dude, we had some good times.
Good times.
Turn on Russia and betray the entire country in order to save the park. And that's what Thomas does.
Doesn't that mean anything to you?
Yeah, it does. Being buddies means something, and the park means something.
Nikolai, what are you doing?
Just by saying that they were buddies and they were friends and they had some good times, and it just shows a little bit of the good times and him getting his head rubbed. Yeah, that's enough to betray your entire country, I guess. I mean, I'm all for it. Go for it. And Thomas betrays Natalia, pushes her out of the helicopter, and stops the park from being destroyed. And he is best buds with everybody at the park again, and I genuinely thought that this was going to be a shift for his character. I thought, okay, you have a really cool idea with this character now. It's a regular show. It doesn't have to be that serious. Thomas can stay at the park and just randomly fight a couple of spies. Like, you could have him having a normal conversation, and then all of a sudden he has to punch a random guy running at him in the face. Yeah, that would be great. I'm all for it. Or maybe he's just constantly in the shadows, just constantly hanging out at the park, contributes randomly to a conversation because he's just chilling there. They could have done so much. And it's not like they didn't have the option to. Roger Craig Smith was there in season 7. He was there in season 8. He was there for the rest of season 6. So it's not like he wasn't there to voice Thomas, but he doesn't really come back after that. Sometimes he's in the background of certain episodes, but really not that much. He does eventually come back in the episode Guys Night 2, which I think is a phenomenal episode. And I'm so glad that we got one more episode with Thomas, because I think it's a just really great return for him, where the beginning of it is just this guy in a mask fighting against a bunch of different CIA agents. You can immediately tell that it's going to be Thomas, and he returns to have one guy's night with the gents.
Why is it free?
Oh, it's a gift from an old friend.
What's going on?
I hate it when old guys do that.
Don't worry, it's just me!
And it's just wholesome fun. They're just having a good time, lighting off fireworks, just giving Thomas one good night. And eventually, some CIA agents find them again, and they have to help Thomas to get to the rendezvous point. We get a pretty cool chase scene out of this.
What was in those boxes?
And Thomas eventually makes it all the way there, and he is supposed to jump on this train. He's running, he's trying, and he eventually falls into the abyss. The CIA gives up.
No!
And it's revealed that Thomas fell into a submarine down at the bottom, and he is truly free. Goodbye, Thomas. That was the end of Thomas.
Thomas! But the train!
This was real rendezvous point. You had to know as little as possible for your safety. Now I am truly free. Thank you all.
Guys Night!
Guys Night!
I actually love this episode, and I think it was needed because it gave the closure on Thomas's character that we never really got, which was him being treated as an equal, as one of the guys, as a member of the park, getting to participate in Guys Night, getting the respect from Muscle Man, with him even saying, "Oh, you're so cool now."
Whoa! I learned that in Turkey.
How?
You get creative when you're being chased by a team of ninja assassins.
You are so cool now.
Stuff like that. Thomas never felt that way when he stayed at the park. He always felt like an afterthought. He always felt like an intern. So him coming back for one more Guys Night 2 was just a good closure episode that I needed. And I've always been the side that I would like Thomas to have stayed on the show, to appeared more, to been in the final battle in space, but I'm also perfectly fine with him leaving and only getting small cameos here and there. Because even though the plotline came out of nowhere, it had no build-up, and yes, there's foreshadowing it when you're watching it for the second time, but on your initial watch, the Russian spy thing was just so random, and that's why I didn't like it at first. But upon rewatch, I think it's a perfect story, because you take this character that was so bland, that was just so nothing, that they had no idea what they wanted to do, and then you just managed to give him one of the most meaningful, interesting arcs in the show, taking a intern, just a college student intern, and turning him in to a Russian spy, one of the biggest villains of the show and having one of the best redemptions in the show. Regular show is crazy. It's anything but regular. And having a character like Thomas, who is just so bland, becoming a Russian spy is just so on theme for the show. And that's why I think I ended up loving and appreciating Thomas. I would love to know what you guys thought about Thomas when you were first watching the show, because I was always disappointed in him and I honestly didn't like his character at all, and for him to become a Russian spy just put a sour taste in my mouth. But as I've grown older, I can really appreciate that plotline and Thomas as a whole. Even though he did nothing, I think the way that they fixed that with the whole Russian spy twist really added a lot to his character, and now anytime I'm rewatching it, it's something that I can enjoy, it's something that I can look forward to, and it's something that makes the plot way more interesting. Just all those like little hints that they managed to throw in, even when they weren't thinking about it, adds a lot to the show, and I can enjoy it for what it is. So I would love to know what you thought about Thomas and what you thought about his arc, if you thought he was a good character, if you liked the Russian spy twist, if you wish he would have stayed on the show longer, if you thought him stopping at that season 6 moment and never coming back, only getting small cameos in like Muscle Man's wedding or Rigby's graduation, or that final send-off when they're flying into space and he's just raising his glass up. I would like to know what you wanted from Thomas, because Thomas was a very interesting character, and he is one of the only characters in the show that I would say, being so underdeveloped, actually worked in his favor and made Thomas unique.